Art is about mark making, story making. What is the history of the place? What is the history of the people of the place? What are the stories that people want to tell today? What marks do they want to make in the places that they live in?
I remember the golden beaches of my childhood and the thing that people used to flock to. You know, when I was a child, the queue to the beach of cars used to go miles back into the village. And it sometimes has that now when it's a very sunny day. But, you know, there's so much possibility and potential in our coastline.
What characterises Southport to me is the pier. It's the second longest pier in the country. It's an iconic structure. It's sort of place that I live outside of Southport now. It's somewhere I would go, come on a winter's morning for a walk. It's part of my childhood. It's somewhere I visited time and time again. And I just think it's so sad that it's fallen into disrepair. And it's just should be, it's a valued structure. Something needs to be done about it.
My biggest thing was why the local people don't have a sense of belief in themselves and in their own town. They seem to have been talking their own town down. And my thing was, well, why do you expect anyone to come here if you don't love your own town and talk about it in that sense?
Before there was a very clear identity, and you hear people that you speak to who have grown up here, it was a place where people used to come and shop. It was affluent, people had nice big houses, you had overspill from Liverpool. It has a very clear identity. I'm not quite sure what the driver of change is in Southport, but I do think it is a town with identity crisis.
There doesn't seem to be any cohesive collective thinking about sort of these places. It's like the building in the Cambridge Arcade, where the BHS building used to be. That's falling apart, and it's going to take a lot of money to put it back. Whoever owns it is just letting it disintegrate. And that arcade, it leads down to the Atkinson. It's a fabulous facility, and again, it's being neglected, and there's no sort of overthinking. There's nobody looking at it as a whole holistically.
It takes forever to get anything done. We've been working on a cultural strategy for 3 years now, and we still haven't got an action plan. And it's you just go, what? Why? It is about being dynamic. Councils are not geared up for that.
This used to be a thriving arcade with lots of businesses, and the businesses have been forced out because the rents have gone up, and so people have left. I mean, there used to be a guitar shop here, there used to be a second-hand bookshop here, which all added to the cultural identity of the arcade. It was thriving. It was a fantastic place to come. It was a centrepiece.
Until the right people come into the right spaces and the right connections are made, I don't think it quite takes off. But it's quite an interesting space to be, because it's quite suspenseful, and people who are the players are waiting for the first thing to happen. Oh, who can I connect with to be able to drive that forward? And then sometimes things like the engine room will come along, or somebody will come with an idea that they've used elsewhere and say, we did this, and we can do that, until you find your feet.
This was built in the 19th century as a wellness resort, a kind of a retail space, and a cultural center. And the retail is basically gone due to online shopping. Tourism is gone due to package holidays to Spain. So we really only have one industry left.
I even remember at some point thinking, well, this is a lovely town. There's gorgeous woods and the beach and the beautiful air. but I felt I need to go somewhere where there's something happening and where I feel more included. And then the engine room came along with Eric's wonderful ideas of inclusion, and I actually feel that that probably was in part why I wanted to stay a little bit longer. So, because I do feel that we can potentially bring inclusion between different communities.
With the workshops that we run here, you know, we're hoping to engage more and more people to come along and take part in the activities and to get to know each other and to form a sort of community where they feel there is a buzz. And actually when the workshops are going on, there is a buzz. It's a really nice atmosphere in here.
We're really making sure that the arts and music in particular are very much front and centre in our curriculums. We're very much celebrating those things. We're investing in them in a big way. And we're starting to kind of see real green shoots in the town locally with, you know, facilities like this and creative thinking that Eric's brought in and other places around Southport that are desperate for this new generation and this new way of thinking, and kind of you've got all of these people that are now coming out and finding their home in places like the engine room and different spaces, and that's placemaking.
I think if artist studios were set up within the sort of the Wayfarers Arcade, I think it would promote, you know, makers, sort of people would come to see the work, it, you know, and it becomes sort of a hub, an artistic hub, and I think that would be attractive to people.
You know, the best local example we've got is the Baltic Triangle in Liverpool. And really the whole premise of the Baltic was all around, you know, if we build it, they will come, and it was very much this kind of long-term commitment that everyone who was involved in the Baltic put into that this is going to be a 5, 10, 15, 20-year kind of vision that we need to do here. And I think the unique thing about Southport is that it feels a bit like that at the moment as a town.
It's also been nice seeing how the villages have sort of are thriving in a way that they weren't before. So I live in Churchtown, my parents are in Ainsdale, and there really wasn't that much in the villages 20 odd years ago. And I'd love to see something like that now happen in the town centre, and there be like a reason for us to want to come into the town centre.
As far as the art is concerned, I think the architecture of Southport is where the real art is. You only have to go down Lord Street to just see the versatility and the most incredible buildings in the country. And Lord Street itself is just pure art. And even somebody from Paris came over here, I think it was Napoleon, one of the Prince Napoleon, and said, yeah, we're going to design something on Paris and how wonderful Lord Street is.
The thing that I really hope to see in the future is that be a sort of an anchor institution that kind of reinvigorates the whole Lord Street, because that's the thing that it's almost like a magnetic field that's not expanding. It's just contained in itself. It should really get, as a place, the investment needed to make this a cultural center, whether that's an annual arts festival or a fringe festival. It needs that kind of constant investment.
4 years ago we had Sefton Capital of Culture, and Red Rum was stabled in Southport, the world's greatest racehorse. And they created a 4-storey high Red Rum mural on one of the buildings on the promenade. We have so much heritage and history and so much to build on.
And what Southport would really benefit from, and other seaside towns as well, would be developing policies that tackle the actual challenges that they have, which are not always the same as a post-industrial mining town or an urban neighborhood that's got a lot of waves of immigration, and it just needs the right policy drivers to be put in place.
What's missing is diversity, and I know from my previous jobs, diversity drives progress, and we want diversity here. How are we going to encourage more of it? I'm not too sure.
So rather than try and compete to be the best version of, ice creams and rock candy, I think Southport has that Victorian heritage and institutions like the Atkinson that could make it a cultural center in the Northwest, if it wanted to be. But I think that's the big if, is does it want to do that?
That's what art does. It brings people together, it brings you closer to humanity, it makes you feel less isolated, really. Because each different country, each different town, each different person have their own way of life, their own way of living their life. So the more people generating art in a certain community, they're showing the colours of that town, really, of that village, of that community.